Okay, let's take a look at some of the headlines this weekend. Let's speak to Lettice and Scott. They join me now. Good afternoon to you both.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Claudia-Liza.
Okay, I would love you guys' views on this government plan. Lettice, just what do you think? Is this the way to bring down the numbers when it comes to those who are unemployed?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall this is a really positive story, and it's kind of infuriating, I think, the sort of messaging about how it's being told. As you see there in the Times, it says, learn work skills or face benefits cuts. This really should be a story about training people, upskilling people, getting them into these jobs that they want. Of course, there are people who, cannot work, whether that's through disabilities or illnesses. And of course, we should always be supporting them. But as the Times reports, there are 9 million people who are not looking for a job and are not in a job at the moment. These are the people that this should be really focusing on. We've got a population that is living much longer. We need people to be working a bit longer. And as the market is ever changing as well, as we get more AI, more robots, we need people to upskill.
Scott, what do you think?
Lettice is right that if this was about training and if it was about support for the unemployed, then it might be a positive initiative, but it's not. Let me give you two basic facts, Claudia-Liza. A government will always put out a press release like this when first, it's under budgetary pressure and it needs to reduce cost, and two, it wants to shift blame for problems in the economy. Just over a year ago, do you remember the Way to Work scheme under Therese Coffey, the Work and Pension Secretary? Let me remind you, that proposal is that if unemployed did not get a job within 4 weeks, that's it, no benefits. Now, fortunately, that didn't come to fruition. What they do this time around is they say, oh, you have to come in every day and speak to someone for 2 weeks, or that's it, you could lose your benefits. Now, there are practical issues that you've talked about, Claudia-Liza. There are issues of transport to get to the interview on a daily basis. There are childcare. There are issues about the associated cost of showing up every day for 2 weeks. In other words, what the government's done is it's put out a press release without the infrastructure to support this as a positive scheme, because I have to be blunt with you, this isn't about training people. It's about going back to the image, and you've heard it from some of your callers, of the welfare scroungers. It's the welfare scroungers that are responsible for our economic difficulties. I think it's cynical. I think it is awful, because a society should not be judged by how it treats the best off. It should be treated how it treats the worse off.
But Scott, you're saying skills, build people up with skills, and wouldn't this program do that, number one? And number two, we had something quite extraordinary and completely unexpected happen as a result of COVID, a complete drop in a number of workers, and an incredible increase in posts and people looking for work. That's led to salary prices going up, which has led to some part of the inflation that we've seen right now. I know, of course, you've got Ukraine. But nonetheless, there is an issue when it comes to work and getting people. And there are people, 9 billion people, potentially out there who could fill those posts. And actually, when they do that, build businesses, business could grow and our economy could grow. So surely the government should be doing something, and let's look into this. Maybe this could be the answer.
You know how you do this? You put money into education. You put money into vocational education. You put money into support programs, including support for things like transport cost and childcare cost. In other words, you put in the infrastructure for employment. What you do not do is add on a box-ticking exercise. Claudia-Liza, did you ever see Mike Leigh's film, I, Daniel Blake?
I haven't. You know what? Scott, you know me, I like my films, and I struggle watching films about I've only watched like In the Pursuit of Happiness once. When I see that struggle, I mean, maybe I should need to just sort it out and do it, because I need to know this is real. But yeah, you're right. Mike Leigh is amazing with raising awareness and issues of people living in poverty.
Let me explain why that's important very quickly.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Because that film, even it's a fictional portrayal, it's drawn from real life experiences of these schemes that have been around for years, that you have to show up at X day, at X time, day after day after day, just simply so the person who's in the job center can tick the box that you showed up, not to provide the training, not to provide the skills. If the government's serious about this, give us details about the support that you're providing, the infrastructure, and not just simply a requirement that says you show up for a meeting or that's it, you're out.
Lettice, Scott, do you think he has a point? We've spoken about people lacking in confidence, and honestly, I've got to say, people might see the poor, those on benefits as scroungers, but you can also argue there are people who haven't been included in society, dropped out of education, and they just have no sense of self-worth. And maybe this should be the focus. Scott even mentioned it's education. This should be the focus when it comes to getting people back to work.
Yeah, so there are two things that I want to pick up on there. The first is that Scott's right in the sense that there has been no detail given about what these sessions involve. You know, are they going to be learning to use Excel, PowerPoint and Word? You know, will it just be a printer? Will it be, you know, whatever it is? What are they going to be teaching them that's going to help them get into work? And I think from here, there needs to be a much stronger drive to help these people get into these apprenticeships after this and apprentice schemes and really learn, you know, how to be a plumber or a carpenter. It cannot just stop after 2 weeks. It has to go further. And that's information that we haven't got yet. In terms of the education, I think that particularly with people who are now getting degrees, it was Tony Blair who said that 50% of people need to go to university and learn. I think that that's almost created a bigger issue. Is we've got a whole generation of people who might believe that some of these jobs that need taking up are beneath them because they might have a degree in management or whatever it is. They think it might be beneath them. So I think it's sort of, we need to be focusing on education, but only to a certain level. I think that apprenticeships are so much more important in this than just educating people more.
Lettice and Scott, I'm going to have to leave it. Then I get a chance to speak about other stories. I cannot believe just how much interest I'm getting from our viewers and listeners. And actually, I thought I'd also talk about my own experience as well. But Scott and Lettice, as always, such a pleasure talking to you. After